Good evening. Hello, everyone. This is Let's Just Talk with Kim. And of course, I'm Kim. I am so happy for all of you to be here with us tonight. And I have my very special guest.
It's
She
hard.
knows why I'm saying I did that deep
It's
breath.
so good.
But her first name is Dr. Annette
Back.
Gadegbeku.
Gadegbeku.
Beku. I
Yeah,
was close. I
Gadegbeku.
got the gotta.
Yes,
Gadegbeku.
Gada.
Gadegbeku.
Yes.
Hey, Andy, how are you? Nice to see you joining us this evening.
Oh, Andy.
Yeah, so we lovingly call her Dr. G. I mean, Gadegbeku is a lot to say. So sometimes, it just don't roll off the tongue. But praise the Lord, she has the spirit of love, and she don't give you no looks or anything if you don't say her name right.
Yeah.
But I am happy for her to be here this evening. Our topic for this evening is letting go for God's shift. I think we all can relate to how things just kind of how God lays things out and how we can freely walk in his mercy and his grace. And when he makes that shift, sometimes we're resistant to it, sometimes we fight it, stay too long, then get to get
Mhm.
out of it, but like all kinds of crazy stuff will happen. Like you'll think the world is almost against you because you're not doing what God wants you to do, because you're not obeying the shift. So we're here to talk about that, and I hope that it'll be a lot of dialogue. People jumping in the comments. We will show your comments just about that whole process. And I'm surprised my niecey poo isn't on. She must don't realize what time it is. If I can count on anyone, I'm gonna have to tell her, Andy, that you beat her to the punch.
Uh,
Like what? She's my number one fan, and now she's about to lose her credits.
uh-oh.
But she know I love her. So let's talk. First of all, first and foremost, let's talk about you. Tell the people who you are, because you got a lot of credits. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
Yeah.
really lay it out, so you lay it out.
Yes. Well, my name is Annette Gadegbeku. Let's see. I am first and foremost a daughter, a sister, a godmom,
Ooh.
auntie. Those are the things, I'm most proud of. My official title, I am medical director at Philadelphia Fight Community Health Centers, an adult health center. I am assistant dean of community health at Drexel University College of Medicine. Um, and I am a servant leader at my wonderful, beloved church called Dare to Imagine Church under Pastor Kevin R. Johnson in Mount Airy. And I am just so happy, honored to be asked to be a guest here on Let's Just Talk with Kim. I've known Kim for a long time. I don't know, somewhere close to
It's
maybe
been a long
like
time.
maybe 13 years or something.
Yeah.
We used to fellowship together at a previous church in Philly. That's where we met, and she's a minister there, and definitely a woman of God that I've looked up to since definitely, and has been a great friend throughout the years. And I'm just, yeah, so blessed and humbled actually to be here to talk about whatever we're going to get into, because I know it's going to be crazy. Um, but I know it's going to be good. I know it's going to be fun. And I just pray whatever God would have me to share or say, that's what we do today. So,
Absolutely. It is an honor for you to be here. I treasure your friendship, and regardless if we see each other regularly or run into each other or or I get that special invite, which has been a
Is it? I'm sorry, Kim. Is it
way
me? You're like chopping up, breaking up. I don't know if it's me. Can you hear me okay? You're frozen. I don't know. Andy, number one, can you hear me? Am I choppy? Say something in the chat. Sharita, I don't know if I'm frozen. I know Kim's frozen right now.
only because
Okay.
her exciting birthday. So she always does really cute things for her birthday, and it's always a pleasure to be in of attendance. And
Uh-oh. It's just me. Hey y'all. So I'm just like gonna wing this because Kim just left and I don't know. So I'm gonna give some shout outs. I see Andy's here from my church D2I. Hey Andy and Sharika, my girl also from D2I. Those are my two sis. And I see Carolyn's on, RL Mason. I'm just gonna give these shout outs real quick till Kim comes back. I hope y'all then, interact and help me out with some dialogue because I don't know what I'm gonna be talking about. So, Kim's back.
honey, how do you get booted out of your own broadcast?
I know. It's freezing up again.
Like, I
Oh,
don't
that's
know
Roz. Hey,
what's
Roz.
happening. And I think I'm still freezing. All right, what we get ready to do is let me tell you what I'm about. I don't know if I'm here or not. Let's see.
I see you.
Okay, I don't know if I'm here or not.
I'm sorry,
Let's
give me a
see.
moment. I'm fixing stuff.
You gotta take one of you off the.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what I'm going to do.
There we go. I know, you too, man. It's all good.
I know, you too, man. It's all good, man. It's all good.
Uh-oh.
Isn't that some crap? Oh, wait. I don't know where I'm at.
This is crazy. The devil is a liar. We rebuke it in the name of Jesus.
You know that.
It's gotta leave. It's gotta go. We trying to talk about. See, I think what it is.
Just give me a moment. Wait. I don't know which one I'm on. Lord Jesus, help me.
Jesus.
Just help me.
Okay, am I on?
Yes.
Jeez Louise.
It's all right. So I think it is. Some people getting ready to ship. God's doing some major things, and maybe this is about a breakthrough. Somebody about to have it. The enemy's trying to block it, but we again rebuke that in the name of Jesus. We're gonna get it together.
Yes, we are. Give me a second.
Sharita is cracking up.
All right. All right. I'm fixed. Okay. I'm
Cool.
fixed. I was having, see, here's the
Yes,
thing. Let me tell y'all what, yeah, it's going to be a breakthrough. Can we say it again?
that's right.
Break
Breakthrough. That is the
through,
theme.
break
Yes, yes,
through.
God.
That's what we have in
That's
here
what
is
I'm
a
talking about.
breakthrough. Okay. Thank you, RL. I agree with you in the name of Jesus. I have never had such a thing. Such a thing. I got people texting me like, "What is going on? What are y'all doing?" What is it, Sharika?
Sharita.
Sharika, let me tell you, sweetie. I've always been into devices. Next thing you know, all heck breaks out. I'm always into devices. Cause I can't see. Like I even got glasses on, but I really can't see. So I have my cell phone
Oh my
so
goodness.
I can read the comments, okay, close up and personal. I do it every Monday. But no, not this Monday. This Monday, the Lord say, we're gonna work with the eyes that you have. And we're just gonna try our best to
Oh
get this
goodness.
together.
You got
Like
it.
what? Oh
It's
man.
all
And then
good.
I got kicked out because I lost internet connection on my laptop, and that's why I froze. So it was
Yeah.
just like a whole bunch of stuff happening. But I'm
It's
glad you all. Thank you, Andy, for sticking in there. Thank you, RRL.
that's
Thank
live.
you,
RL is
Sharika.
live.
Thank you, Sharita, who was having a breakdown because she was feeling her auntie's pain. She was like, "Oh Lord, my auntie's going down. Somebody help."
Oh my goodness.
I love it. I love
Oh my
it.
goodness.
That
So
was just a lot.
you were talking about,
Yeah, what was I talking
I
about?
think
What's
you
the
were talking
topic? What's the
about
topic?
the topic shift. But I think you were talking about my birthday or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I was just giving you some kudos. The Lord didn't want you to have no
That's
pearls thrown at you. I mean, no, the enemy, not the Lord. The Lord is throwing pearls at you all the time.
yes, he is. That's all right.
But yeah, I was just saying how blessed you are, how a blessing you are. Oh my God. I even hear my papa upstairs cracking up.
Oh no. Oh no.
Woo, when the Lord shifts, that's what we're talking about. We're going to let go and let God. Can we
Yes.
say it? Can we get an amen from the
Amen.
raptures? Wait,
Let
what?
go
The
and let
rafters to the.
rafters. For all of us. For rewind. Start over.
Lord, today. But anyway, so we're talking this evening. I'm gonna try to
Right.
keep control, but it is what it is, because y'all know it don't take much for me to break out in
It
hysterics
was
over
crazy. Yes.
situations. Oh Lord, I tell you, so much for my master's class in
It's all,
content creations.
it's all good. We are good. She is cracking up. I need the saints on
Oh,
the line to pray
Jesus.
for us. Can you just
I'm
lift up some
telling you.
prayers?
Oh,
Can
that
you
was
just
so funny. Okay. So, anyhow, we're going to be talking about letting go for God's shift. So, we all have experienced different things, different situations where we know God is moving in our lives. And sometimes we question if it's God. Pray it, let me pray about it. Let me this, let me that. Give me a sign, Lord, which is the funniest thing because I've been doing my devotions and they've been on that topic about wanting signs, how the Israelites and all of them, everybody want to see a sign, prove yourself to me. And God, like, didn't I do a lot already? You ain't down with me.
right,
We ain't down
right,
like that yet.
right, right.
But we being flesh, being in sin, sometimes get wrapped up in fear, wrapped up in hesitation, procrastination, everything under the sun, or one of my favorites, having everything just right before I make that move.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I know you have a lot of experience in that as well, with the transitions that you have even taken, even moving from, which was our home church, to now your old church, or your former church rather, Sharon Baptist, and now you're at Dare to Imagine, which I even which is so funny because Dare to Imagine is literally down the street from me. And
Yeah.
I went there one day because my nephew did not I didn't forgot that I was going to I needed the car. So I came running out forgetting he had my car, and was like, "What the heck is my car?"
Goodness.
I'm like, "Where you at?" So mind you, I didn't even have a key, so I wasn't like none of that dawned on me. I just was focused on where I needed to be and what I wanted to do. Keyword I.
Mhm.
So that I took that opportunity. I was like, he was like, "Auntie, I'll be there. I'm sorry, I'll be there in 10 minutes." I was like, "Boy, you gonna make me late. I'm just gonna walk on down the street." So I walked on down the street, and guess who I run into? My very good friend. Had no idea that's where she was fellow, fellow,
Shipping.
fellowshipping at.
Mhm.
And it was just a blessing to see her, and even to hear about all the exciting things that God has really transitioned in her step of making that bold move, of which she really never really expected to take. So did you want to share anything about that, or any other experience? Because I can talk.
Right. um, so definitely have experience with shifting, staying too long, let it go. Probably have a few songs written about let it go. I was actually listening to one of them that I wrote a few months ago.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah, and all church, relationships, jobs, and I guess yeah, the one powerful shift was the move from one church home to another. And Sharon Baptist Church is an awesome community, awesome church. Bishop Keith Reed, awesome man of God. But sometimes every place serves a purpose, and sometimes God is taking you from one place to the other place, for different reasons, and we don't even know, right? But God's plans have already been written before we were even put in our mother's womb. And me, definitely being a control freak, need to know
Mm,
exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going, what time, all that. And if I can't see it, or if I have my own ideas or vision of what I'm doing, it's very hard to let go. And you have
right.
dreams and desires, other things that God speaks to you, and you think, oh, okay, this is going to happen, but it's not like right now. And you think it's going to happen right then and there, right there. So you're trying to make it happen. And I heard this term recently in this another shift I'm going through, but it's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole or something like that.
Mm,
And sometimes when that starts to happen, we don't realize it. We think it's me. We think it's us. Okay, what is wrong with me? What can I do differently? But when it starts to you feel like you don't fit, that's the time to move. I'm grateful for the time I had. I think it was, definitely training ground. I was not, I have a whole different type of background that I came from.
mm-hmm.
And, I learned a lot at my old home church and observed a lot. Um, and I felt that there was things that I wanted to do and experience, and of course there's a little bit of hurt that came that kind of moves, but I think I probably needed to make a shift a little bit sooner. But
Mhm.
um and that's what happens. You get into things when you're trying to force something that doesn't really fit. You end up in situations where you get hurt. You don't really learn it the first time. God always gives you another test, right? And you're
Mhm.
like, okay,
Mhm.
this seems like a repeat, a remix. I just wait. I just went through this like what
Right.
5 years
Right.
ago. Why am I
And
going
you
through this?
sit there like, why am I here
Why am I
again?
going through this
Why?
again?
Why? Why?
Right, right. But when it is God, and
Mhm.
there is a lot of uncertainty and questioning and fear behind what you're about to do. You don't want to experience anything negative again. But when God said move, it was time to go. You get certain messages, those
Mhm.
signs. It may
Mhm.
not be smacking you right in the face, but
Right.
there's different messages in different ways. I love how God speaks to each and every one of us in very specific and special ways that
Mhm.
need to be said to us, because he knows how we are, and
Right.
he knows, like, okay, she needs this, she needs that. um and so just yeah, when it was time to go, I said, God, I don't want to really do a lot of shopping. I don't want to. I
Mhm.
just, because I can't, I'm not going. I was ready to just like actually honestly be done with it all with church.
Mm.
Because there were some painful experiences.
Right.
Um and I didn't really understand what that was about. As when you're on the other side, that's why I can say, it may not have been any one person or even any one
Mhm.
situation. When it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. When it's time to go, it's time to go. And
Right.
so moving to Dare to Imagine, I've done so much more than I did. And I was there at Sharon for 10 years. And like within the first 2 years, it just like moved. Like I was really just trying to sit down, lay low,
Mhm.
not really be in ministry. I was in ministry in my previous church with praise and worship and the health and wellness. And I just wanted to kind of just sit and be under God for a minute. But
Right.
sometimes that's not God's plan either. I always
Mhm.
say I know what I'm doing, but God really knows what He's doing.
Right.
And so yeah, things have gone in a direction I never if you dreamed of. To be a servant leader at
Mhm.
someone's church, if you asked me that like 5 years ago, I'd be like, no, not me.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I've definitely gone a different even route in the things that I do. I people that know me from before know I sing, and then health and wellness, and I'm not
Right.
even yet doing any of that there.
Mhm.
I'm doing other things, which is amazing. And so yeah, it I think obeying God in that moment saved me from more struggle, trauma that would be self-inflicted, because you're being disobedient, because you don't know what's on the other side, and now
Mhm.
there's a blessing on the other side. So that's that story. And then just work too. Again, it's always, for me, it's always been when it's really time, because it's probably like a few months or so or more when I look back and I'm like, oh, I should have left then. But if I think about those months preceding before I did make a decision to go, there's a lot. There's a lot of struggle, a lot
Mhm.
of challenges. Um, and so learning to hear that small, still voice, if it is, or even if it's a little bit bigger and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Um, Having the faith and having yeah, really the faith to move with him. I think as
Mhm.
I know him and grow in him more, I think that process hopefully will get shorter and less painful. um
Right. Right.
but yeah, when it's time to go, it's time to go, it's time to shift. It's amazing when you follow the lead and follow the steps that God orders for you, and you just, it comes to a point where I got to take my hands off it. That's my thing. Like, where I'm like, all right, I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything.
Right.
And God is like, okay, thanks. Now I can step in and do what I've been trying to do.
Right. And it's so interesting because you spend so much wasted time in the fight. Of going against the grain, pulling the opposite direction in which God is trying to get you to go. Like I even can recall same scenario, two different moments of going in and when it was time to come out. So going in when I purchased my first home, God lined everything up to me. I was blessed exceedingly and abundantly with grant money and different things. So going in, you knew God was walking with me. But then we really don't focus on the time and the season of things, whether it's people, places, or things. There are always seasons to everything. And I was at that house. I moved purposely to that house for the safety of my son. It was a great neighborhood. I wanted to feel comfortable when he goes out to play. I didn't want to have to worry about him, where I grew up, I couldn't purchase a home, but I found something just as good. So as he grew up, we were able to maintain. Then came, the crisis of the financial downturn that we took several years ago. And, I was established financially, but then next thing you know, like all of a sudden I don't have any money. And it was just more of the fact that certain things financially had changed for me, but yet and still, with the financial downflow, things became more expensive and I was not really focused on that really as good as I should have been. And my handicap was the savings. So I was just pouring extra savings into it until, it was no more. And like someone had to sit down to me to really get me to really understand how I got into this situation, because I'm not all that of a shopper. I do shop and sometimes I do splurge, but I wasn't at that time that focused on certain things. So, the people was like, you don't shop like that. I don't understand how you're here. And we actually walked back and discovered, when that financial whirlwind twisted, I didn't adapt. I didn't pivot with it. So I ended up in a financial crisis. And how I bring that to the house, where I was fighting to maintain the house, fighting to keep my house, going to court to delay any kind of action being taken on me. And I fought and I was miserable through the fight because it was so stressful. It was so stressful. And then when I finally let go, they paid me to move out.
Oh, wow. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's amazing.
I was like, and the timing of it was great because when I moved back home with my parents, my mom had, some things going on with her. And then once that was done, then next thing you know, we had a house fire. So it was, I think the way things lined up, it was necessary. So the season in which I was supposed to be there was to help for my son's upbringing. But then it was time to go. And I did not recognize that. And then I put myself in a compromising position. And to the fact that when I finally did go, God even blessed me in the going. Yeah. Like I was fighting, thinking, no, God gave me this. I'm sticking and staying, and I'm going to stand strong through faith. I'm not going to I shall not be moved.
Yes. Yeah.
I'ma trust Lord. I know he don't want me to leave. He gonna send a breakthrough. Like I'm not doing it. He did
Right.
so much for me to get me here. But then when
Period.
I finally gave up, I was like, I don't want to do this no more, God. I'm done. And
Yeah.
then he was like, well, let me just get love on you while you go. So
Yeah.
you can see this
This
is
is
me.
right. Mhm.
You're fighting against me and you'll never win.
Yeah.
So sometimes we stick and stay too long thinking we fighting the enemy, but when we are in turn fighting against what God's will is for our lives. And I know people may think differently for all situations when God shifts, but it's not even about what you think, it's about what God thinks. And as
Right.
long as I'm moving in the pathway that God desires me to go, then I'm going to be all right. And I don't need to, oh, you could have did this, you could have did that, you should have did this, you should have did that. Well, that wasn't an option at the time, or I didn't know about it. So therefore I kept it moving. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? If it was meant for me to do whatever you was telling me to do, then I would have known, and
Mhm.
God would have opened that door for me, but he didn't. He
Right.
opened the door for me to leave, and then they were like, "Listen, what we would like to do is pay you X, Y, and Z if
Yeah.
you could move out by X, Y, and Z, and we'll pay for we'll cover the move costs and everything." Like they was paying for everything. I was like, oh, okay.
Yes. That's
I didn't know
awesome.
that happens. I
Yes.
was like,
Right.
what?
Right.
That's something that happens? I
Yes.
can't believe it.
Yes.
Like, I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it.
Yeah.
And God's favor is like no other. And it's not for us to determine, to rate, to put our thoughts into it, because our thoughts are not like God. Our thoughts
Mhm.
are so far removed that
Mhm.
they will seem crazy
Right.
when we follow God. And that is like the key purpose. Like, just trust Him, trust where He's taking you, you know?
Right. Yeah. And like Andy says, it's not always easy to trust because the unknown is hard. The uncertainty is hard.
Mm
Especially we know now even more so what uncertainty feels like since COVID and like just not knowing what's on the other side of things. And sometimes we like to stay, first of all, comfortable. There's also the other end of a shift is where people don't shift because it's comfortable and they're
Not
complacent
at all.
and it's easy or whatever. So when you shift, oftentimes it's not an easy thing.
Mm
It's something that you're not sure of. It's something that brings a lot of fear and anxiety. Like you said, am I hearing right? Is this the right thing? Is this the right way? And
This
so
don't make sense.
yeah, but it like Andy said, it may not be easy, but it's necessary. And
Mm
everything that we go through, I don't really regret anything. Like I've had a really difficult, probably 3, almost 4 years, even prior to COVID,
hmm. Mm
honestly.
hmm.
So it started off when so I forgot to say I'm a family doc, and my I had been with Drexel for 10 years, and our hospital was Hahnemann. So in
Mm
2019, Hahnemann closed, like out of the blue. Like there was some rumors and things was going on with um, the CEO there and everything. But we just never knew like a major safety net hospital would close.
hmm. Yeah, that
Um,
was big in Philadelphia.
so that was, and then I got terminated as a doctor. You would never think that, doctor is one of the most, I guess, secure professions. You don't really, get pink slips as a doctor. um, so it was that closure of the hospital, and then we didn't know who was going to be over us, and then we changed to a different health system, which again didn't fit for me, and that I stayed a year, a little over a year, and I was like, this, right. I kind of knew that the vision and the mission
Mm-hmm.
fit. So it was that. And then right before that was COVID. COVID came and we're changing. In the middle of COVID, we were changing offices, and then we changed health, EMRs, electronic medical record system.
Right, right.
That was crazy. And then, I moved to a new employment at Philadelphia Fight, and now I'm about to actually shift again. And all that brought a lot of trauma and uncertainty,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you know just wanting stability, wanting to be comfortable, wanting to fit somewhere, makes you want to stay. And then sometimes, like I said, just being comfortable makes you want to stay. But I don't, like I said, regret anything. It's been hard, but
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of lessons learned. And there's seasons. I think there's training seasons, there's strength building seasons, there's things to get you ready for either a battle that's coming, or the shift in the place that God is
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
happy to be. I take a lot of the lessons, skills, word that I learned from one ministry to the next ministry. Um, Even jobs, there's job to job to job, like in place of employment was different, and I was able to take some of the skills, learn more skills, take it to the next level, and so there's always something that you get from it, even though it's hard, but
Mm-hmm.
it's necessary. And it really isn't until we just let go and say, God, I surrender. And okay, what would you have me to do? And he does, just lays it out, orders the steps, gives you favor, like somebody paying for you, or says, you say, oh, I don't want to be at this place anymore. Like, and you have a certain amount of time to give notice for, which is my situation right now. And he's ordered things so that I don't have to go back. And it's short
Right.
time, because it was time. So yeah, that's
Yeah, it's never really a easy, because even my situation, of course, was not easy. Like that's what took me so long to kind of transition, and that fight was like for probably more than a year, to be honest, of not letting go, because I'm like, why would I let this go, because this is what everyone has, especially in our community. We are bred to, you need to get your own, you need to have your own, you need to own property, land, which is a great thing. But sometimes that's just not in the plan that God has for you. And it's a scary process,
it is.
and like when I tell you, when I think back over how things kind of played out, like God was giving me hints left and right. Like the
Yeah,
things that was breaking down in the house, man.
yeah,
Like my
okay,
God, like him,
definitely
like you missed you. I
all
know
the
you weren't
flags.
looking for a sign, because he was like, "Well, let me break this. Well,
Right,
let's see if I break this and that.
right,
Okay, let's see how that goes.
right,
If this happened,
right.
what? You gonna be ready to go?"
Yeah,
So it's just an interesting, when it comes to how much of a struggle it is for us to really transition, and knowing the right time, the right voice that we're listening to. And I do believe it is that sweet sounding voice, whether it is loud or soft. I mean, when God is spirit is ushering you to the next step, I think it is that sweet sound. And it's not for something we should look to be easy.
no.
Because if it was going to be easy, then there would be no work. We
Mhm.
wouldn't have an enemy.
Yeah,
So he makes that transition for us to be difficult. Like God, if things are going ever effortlessly, there's something going on. Something you're not like, something got excuse me, I don't know too many people that would be 100% transparent and say, "Oh yeah, it was easy." That everything just was like boop 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 boop. What? The
Yeah.
enemy didn't come up to try to block that blessing at all?
No,
Like,
right. Well, I believe both things kind of happen, right?
mhm,
I think he does when it's in line with his
mhm,
will and his plan for you, he does facilitate. But then because there's such a huge blessing or call
mhm,
or whatever
mhm,
on the other side, the enemy does attack you, but it doesn't attack you in going in the process to go, right? It
mhm, mhm,
attacks you in all these other ways. When we're struggling, we're resisting, that's a whole different thing. Then things that we think we're doing and putting in place aren't working.
right, right,
But
right, right.
when we like really start to go with God, it is facilitated, but we do expect opposition. And it's like that's honestly when I know I'm in the right vein.
Exactly. Mhm,
Um, because it's like it's so it's weird. It's again not in the process of getting to where you're going. It's just the turmoil and drama and people coming at you saying different things, people trying to pull you back to
mhm,
stay where you were. I know I felt that at the job situation, and then I also in relationships. I know that's a huge area of shift and letting go that I know a lot of us on here can relate to. And when, so I had a relationship way back when where,
oop,
I'm,
wrong mic. Sorry.
oh, it's okay. A relationship like, over 10 years ago that I needed to get out of. It was just not healthy. But when every time I tried to leave or every time I did leave, I was drawn back for whatever reason. I was, either sweet talked back or, oh no, we could work this out. I felt like I was blaming myself, like a failure, like I wanted to win at this relationship, right? So all the things you talk yourself back into it, and that's where all the things started coming up. Is like, no, you need to go. And when I couldn't do it myself, um and I got to that point where I was like, okay, I tried. Actually, there was a time where I tried to leave, physically, and I couldn't. Or it just I had a whole scenario set up, and I was like, all right, and it just got messed up. And now that's when I was like, all right, it was a perfect plan and it got messed up. All right, God, I don't know what else to do. I've tried this, I've tried that, here, I don't know. I don't know. And he's like, all right. And then that's when it was like, I would hear like, okay, do this right here, like that. And that was like the perfect time to like change the locks or put stuff out or whatever I need to do. It's
Mhm,
drama. There's a lot of drama in that relationship. But God protected me and got me out. But I just know that there's sometimes that pull or an opposition or all things are distractions. That's another thing
mhm,
that
mhm,
happens, are
mhm,
these distractions that come up that get you off course of where you're supposed to be going, and those distractions lead you to more either drama or hurt or pain or whatever. So those are the things that I've noticed in my journeys with change, with shift, is that, yeah, he orders it, he facilitates it, but yes, a lot of things will come up against you but then when you get through, when you break through, I'm telling you, this is a season of freedom and breakthrough right now. I just feel that in
absolutely.
my spirit for this month. Um, there's so much, there's God, and that's what I want. And that's, I think, what helps drive us is just wanting God's plan, wanting God's glory,
Mhm, mhm,
wanting wanting to please him eventually, like when we get in that relationship where we just really want to do what he wants, he does honor that. He honors the press, he honors the push, he honors the pulling, all of that, um in the end. And you just know it's going to be greater, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be awesome when you get there.
Absolutely. And you spoke in regards to relationships. I think that is a major struggle, regardless whether it is a romantic relationship, a friendship,
Mhm.
or even family relationships.
Yes.
Sometimes God will shift and move things, and you are in a sometimes we will try to grip hold onto
Mhm.
those relationships when it is seasonal. Like, yeah, even family is your family, but sometimes family needs to be family at a distance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you love them, you support them, you would be there for them, but you have to put some space. And relationships, romantic relationships, sometimes we won't see that we need to move away. We will try to stick with it. We'll try
Fix
to
it.
hold on to it, yeah, or
Yeah.
wait on it, thinking that things are going to change when actuality, God is already giving you the insight and the knowledge that, yeah, this isn't where He wants you to be. This is not
Right.
going to be fruitful, and this is not going to birth what He has in store for you. And sometimes when it comes to romantic relationships, we will try to kind of force things,
Mhm.
and it just only makes things worse, like
Yeah.
especially sometimes with women. Like,
Mhm.
women will do things even to the point of trying to have a baby with someone that you should not be in this relationship. Is
Mhm.
where it's a thought of, oh, this will keep him, this will make things better.
Mhm.
I just seen it on a TV show that I was watching, where a couple, um they both knew that the relationship needed to end, but then they got pregnant
Mhm.
to and thinking that that would help build. And this was from the man and the woman. They both
Right.
thought that this baby was going to make things better. But like, yo, if you having problems before, you going to have 100 million more now.
Yeah.
So it's just that whole allowing God to speak with you and guide and direct you, because every relationship isn't meant to be a everlasting relationship. There's
Right.
some friendships that or relationships that could just really be seasonal, and
Yeah.
you have to be close to God. Like, I tell people and encourage people as well as myself, that when you're in a relationship, you need to be pressing your way closer to God so
Yes.
that you can hear Him and not those feelings that's welling up inside of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because that will be the one that will drive you definitely in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. I do. I've definitely had struggles with all those three areas of
Hmm.
relationships: romantic, platonic, family, and that letting go. And sometimes it's something in us that feels like, oh, we need it, we need that relationship, or we need to be there, or we put a value on
Hmm.
ourselves with the relationship rather than just having our own value stand alone. It comes
Right.
from a lot of our past. People, we struggle, some of us struggle with abandonments and rejection. And I think that goes along with a lot of the shifting challenges that we have, because we don't like to feel loss, right? We don't
Mm,
want to, we don't want to grieve anything,
right.
because grief
Exactly.
is hard.
Hmm.
And so we feel like we're gonna lose, and I think that's been one of the biggest things I've kind of learned, and I still struggle with, because I know, like, God even says, Christ says, you got to lose to gain, right? But
Hmm.
we don't. We hold on to that what we have. Not
Everything.
even the best, right? It's not
Hmm.
even the best that He has, but there, with a promise. But sometimes we just, like you said, don't trust that promise that something's better. So we don't want to lose. We don't want to
Mhm.
lose, but we'll gain more. And another thing, I tell myself in a lot of shifts in relationships, especially in friendships, and as you change places where you hang out and who you hang out
Mhm.
with and all that, um, that everybody can't go on the journey that you're going on.
Absolutely.
And that's a part of that shift too, is that, like you said, seasonal relationships, everybody is there for a season, and you pray for these, fruitful and healthy relationships. And
Mhm.
you have people that you've been with since the very beginning, and the loyalty. I have a strong sense of loyalty, which can be detrimental to me sometimes.
Yes.
um and that not letting go. But I had heard one time, long time ago, and I always remind myself that not everybody is going where I'm going, can go where I'm going. Not that I can't like love them from afar, or even, have whatever interactions that I'm going to, but they change, they shift.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when people show you who they are, you gotta believe them.
Believe them.
And
Mhm.
that's not just with people, that's with organizations, that's at your job, like all those. And we try to make excuses for why maybe it's not that way, or some of us put it back on ourselves, like, oh, it's my fault, or I gotta do. That's a big thing with the relationship part,
Mhm.
where I'm like, it was clearly not me. It was that person. But when I was in it, I was like, all right, I can do better. What can I do better? It's like just trying to always fix it and be like, all right, yeah, I could have done that differently.
Mhm.
Where, you know, looking back, no, like, no,
Mm.
he's just messed up. Like,
Right, right.
real rap. Like, no, he's messed up. Like, no, it's not you. But we, especially as women, we either, like, yeah, like Natasha, things we think things are going to get better, or that person's going to change, or there's something that we can do differently that make us keep staying in it and running the same rat race of
Mhm.
it, and like
Mhm.
same cycles and whatever. So
Yeah, and it goes both ways because sometimes we give up too fast or we move too slow. So
mhm.
it kind of goes both ways. Like
Right,
we
we shift too
we
fast.
yeah, either way, it's a process, and we need to be close to God to hear what it is that He is saying for us. And we know it's not like He hasn't already spoken to us. We know.
Yeah,
We know.
we do.
It's just that we, like you said, we can become complacent. We think that, the alternative is so much worse, where it's not.
No.
It is just a process that you need to go through. And he's going to do things according to his will, whether you like it or not.
Mhm.
So it's better to flow with
We
him
can, yeah.
than to flow against him, because it's a losing battle.
It
You are
sure is.
not going to win.
Nope.
You are not going to win. So,
Nope. Don't try to
but
think that.
that's really what I wanted to share with a lot of people, is just talking about that, because I know so many people, as we've seen in the comments of that we all experience it, and it's sometimes it doesn't feel so great, sometimes it does, but it's still kind of scary. But God tells us to walk by faith and not by sight, so you can't look at what you see before you. You got to look at what his word tells you
Right.
and move in accordance to his word. And if you will focus on lining, that's what we need to do more of, lining things up with the word of God.
Yes. Yes.
And if it's in accordance to the word of God, then you good.
Yep.
One thing, God don't want you to be unhappy. Nowhere in there he says that. God doesn't expect you, no, are you going to always have sunshiny days? No, the enemy is out there, and he's going to come at you with everything he got. Just like in Job, he's going to and fro to see whom he can devour. So you
Right.
got to stay on your A game and make sure you in that B game, same when it
Yeah.
comes to the word of God, because you need to pick up your Bible and
Yes.
make sure you get some word for your day,
Absolutely.
putting on the full armor of the Lord,
Yes.
because it's such a struggle. Like I try to, as you know, I'm over the new members classes, and when I was teaching, that was one of my main focus. Like, just take a little time out, whatever makes sense for you, because gotta grow for that. Like he tells us, with the faith of a mustard seed, which is the tiniest seed, one of the tiniest seeds. So if it could take that much and it can bloom and grow into such a mighty tree, that's all you really need, because he will add the water, he will cultivate the ground, he will mature you, he will prune you, he is sure that you get the proper sunlight and the proper maintenance, that you will grow into exactly what he wants you to be. So I just always say, you got to trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways
Right.
acknowledge him, and
Yeah.
he will
Direct.
direct your path.
That was honestly, that was a scripture that I read this morning. Um, and because I'm in the midst of a shift right now,
Hmm.
actually, with my employment. And just the word, really, like, reading the word out loud. It's been a very challenging and, again, another painful experience, but
Hmm.
all the lessons I've learned in the other ones are helping me. And the word, relationship with God, like, I think each battle might be a little bit more difficult, but I'm more prepared because I have more word in me. I have a closer relationship with God. It's
Hmm.
ever growing. We can't really navigate the shifts well without having that personal relationship with God and really
Hmm.
knowing and being more attuned. And we don't do that until we spend more time. The more time we spend with him, the more used to his voice we're used to hearing. We know it. We obey it a little bit better, because we're more trusting that, okay, this is God. Let me listen. Let me do what he says. But I do believe that's a growth process. That's a
Absolutely.
journey. But it starts with that, like you said, just reading a little bit every day, and having these experiences, because we not only learn from them, but we learn who God is.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we're like, okay, God, you did it for me then. You can do it for me this time. I'm going to trust you, even though how hard it is right now. I know you carried me through. I'm going to trust you even when we don't want to, or if it's hard. We say, I'm going to trust you. We read the word, encourage ourselves in the word, as I did today, between Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, and Philippians 4 and 6. Those are my two for today. To
Hmm.
just, I knew I was going into a couple meetings that were going to be a little challenging. And I was like, I know you got this. I know you have me. You said, don't be anxious, to pray of everything, and I'll have that peace.
Right.
And, I don't know all the time why that I have to go through this, but that lean on your own, not unto your own understanding, but all your ways. Just acknowledge him, trust him, worship him. um and I'm seeing the fruit of it. It'll be uncomfortable for a little bit, and then, like, that favor just comes, like, oh, you're gonna tell me I don't have to go to work. Okay, cool. I don't
Hmm.
have to be there
Hmm.
anymore. Okay, cool. You gonna pay me for 2 weeks off that I didn't know I had? Okay, great. Like, those things come, and that's when you gain that confidence in who God is, who you are in him, whose you are. Like, sometimes I'm like, I'm your daughter. I'm your daughter.
Hmm.
Like, just
Hmm.
that was one of my reflections today, is like, I'm your daughter. Like, you're going to take care of me. And
Right. Right.
that helps us to move in those shifts where there's uncertainty and anxiety and fear.
Yeah, yeah, because one of the things that popped in my mind is God's word where he says, try me and see.
Yeah.
And see, don't I open up the windows of heaven and
Right.
pour down a blessing. that there's no room for it. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes just try him. Just try him. If you don't believe, just try him. And he will prove himself to you. And then for those of us who he has already, gotta look at his track record, baby. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying? Like he's done
exactly.
this, he's done that, he's done this. You know, they talk about journaling, which I'm not the best at, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but journaling to have something to reflect on, because God tells us constantly to remember, because we so easily forget. You
Yes.
know, like we try to
Mhm.
pull ourselves out of the whole Israelite syndrome, but we just like the Israelites. You know, he done did this, that, and the other, and here we are saying, "Take me back. I want to be
Right.
back
Right.
in slave. Yeah, I want to be back with my master to beat on me, to whoop me all night, to
Mm, mm,
make me work and do all these things. Oh, you gave me manna, but now I'm thirsty. You ain't gave me nothing to drink. Like it's like, well, if I gave you that, of course I'm gonna do this. You
right.
know, like we gotta shift our minds and thinking and expectation of knowing what God will do. Yeah, it's uncomfortable now, but that's okay
Yeah.
because He's going to move. You can't, like I even was telling my son, who's he's going through a transition right now, but I told him, like, stop looking at what's now and think
Mhm.
about what's happening, what's coming in the end. You got to think about futuristic things that God is going to do in your life. This is just a season of struggle, but it's not going to be your end game.
Right.
We already know He has exceedingly and abundantly more for you than you could ever ask or think. We know these things. So
Right.
stop looking at what's before you and start looking at what's coming your way, because
Right.
you're not going through. I don't believe any of His children is going through a struggle for naught.
Yeah.
Like not for no reason.
There's
That it's not because something is about to bust off on your in your life.
no.
Because the difference between us and the enemy is the enemy know the end game. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? We
Right.
have no idea.
Right.
We have
That's why he's
no
trying to keep you from
idea.
there. He's trying to keep you
Exactly.
from there.
Like
There's
just move
definitely
with the current. Just
there's
go where
definitely
God taking you.
purpose in the pain. There's definitely
Yeah.
God.
There's always an end game where you are always victorious.
Yeah.
So if you are hesitant of the shift that's happening in your life, I just want to encourage you, and so to my sister, to just move with the shift. Don't
Yeah.
worry about the fears or
Got you.
anxiety. Like put all
Mhm.
those things away. That ain't
Mhm.
of God. We
Mhm.
don't want you to be sitting in a position that is in a place that God never had for you in the beginning. So just move forward. And I know, Natasha, you had something to say. Let's see what you saying here, girl. It's so hard to look at what's to come because everything at the moment is breaking down around you.
Yeah.
You know what? That's 100% real and raw. It is, because I've been there and I go through there. But you just have to believe. You know who the Lord is.
Mhm.
You know that He is El Roy. He is always watching you. He is El Shaddai. He is all powerful and can do anything on your behalf. He is Jehovah Rapha. He is the one that can provide everything for you. And the thing about Him being Jehovah, He is self existent. He doesn't need anything from anyone. He
Mhm.
freely offers this. So we just have to focus on that point. Sometimes we do ourselves injustice of not trusting and believing and
Yeah.
keeping those dictates. Like I know my friend DC Marshall, she will always say she keeps little encouragement, like even in her journal she has a list of the scriptures that is the ones that's going to help her continue to fight.
Right.
So even when she gets a new journal, because she's heavy into journaling, but I ain't there yet, but one day. So she transcribes
Yeah.
whatever was there into the next one. And even if it becomes more, she just make more room.
Yeah.
So we gotta start focusing on doing that, being more present in what God says to us, because
Yeah.
sometimes everything around us will block us from
Right.
knowing what God said.
And that it's that focus, right? It's that,
Hmm.
like we talked about, the distraction. Like as Natasha's saying, everything's breaking down around you. So you're looking at that, you're looking at this, and it's really that discipline to keep your eyes on God, and all the um descriptions of who you just described God as, like just keeping like a soldier. Sometimes I'm very visual, so a lot of the things I say is very visual. So I almost always think about like a soldier in the army, right? And he's the commander, and you don't do anything until he gives you the signal. But if he gives you the signal and you're not looking at him, you're gonna miss it. So, but you wait and you keep your eyes focused on God, because you don't want to get distracted by who's on the left, who's on the right, what's going on. Just keep that focus and knowing who He is. Um, Kind of helps with that, distractions of all that stuff going on around you. We're going through a lot. As Andy just put in about grief and loss, and I know a lot of my sisters on here have recently, or and not so recently, just have experienced that loss and grief, and just that keeps coming up, and it takes us off our game, it takes us off the distraction, it takes us to be distracted. So it's hard to look forward when you've lost so much, and when you lose, it's like this blank slate. I know what it is to like have plans and lose someone very close to you that you knew was going to be with you for a long time, for almost the rest of your life. And when it's like they're gone, or that you lose a job, or you lose something where you had it all planned out, now it's just this white page, this black slate, blank slate. And you're like, what do I do now? Like, where do I go? What do I do now? And then you just think about all the things that are lost, that crumbled around you. But yeah, like you said, um, keeping focus. I just try to think about keeping my eyes on God. What does that mean? Listen to Him, reading His Word, spending time. And another
One,
visual. Oh, sorry.
just wanted to jump in there too on what you were saying about the distraction around you and being focused. What dropped into my spirit was Peter. They're in the boat and Jesus appears walking on the water, and it's a storm brewing. And he said he doesn't even focus on the storm, he focuses on Jesus, and he asks Jesus, "Can I come out with you?" And he does. And mind you, there's a storm brewing all around him. And this is to go back to Natasha's point about everything breaking down around you. There is water crashing all around him. And as long as he had his eyes stayed on Jesus, he was walking without anything stopping him. But the moment he took his eyes off of Christ, that and started looking around him, that little distraction instantly sank him. But the thing that should encourage you is the fact that he didn't have to say much. He just had to say, "Jesus, help me." And he instantly, despite his faith, despite him being caught up in all that's going on around him, he reached out and pulled him out of that circumstance. So even though it is a very difficult place to be in, even though there is so much going on around you, and I say that with passion because I've been there. I've been there when it's so much that you can hardly catch a breath. That is so much happening all at once that all you can do is scream. And I've been there. Like my viewers know my story, like with all the tragedies of death, my brother, my nephew being murdered, my other nephew's mom passing, my brother getting attacked and almost died. His godchildren who were family to us, they got killed by a motor vehicle accident. Like when I tell you, everything was jumping off
Mm-hmm.
last year
Mm-hmm.
and had nothing to do with the pandemic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Even to the point my father ended up with cancer. When I tell you, I had to pull myself out of that and say, Jesus, help me. And he provided a plan for me. I was able to step away from it and find peace that passes all understanding because I was more so he pulled me out of the confusion to sit me in his quiet place so I can regroup and reposition myself so that I can be restored and come back feeling better than I ever did.
Yeah.
So that's even the passion I had for getting my podcast out because it was a refresh that he wanted to do in my life that was restoration for something that started last year but came to an end after my brother passed because he got sick 1 month and the next month he passed. So I never had time to regroup with the podcast. And then it before I can get on my walking path with that, then my nephew was tragically killed. Like, wow. Like that took me through too many emotions, too many dark places to out of my character. So when things are happening, they're happening with purpose. Even the things that you think, how could this be? It's happening with purpose. And we don't understand it. But I know one thing when it comes to my brother, definitely, he had a fight for a long time. And he, even to his last days, he was fighting. So I'm just so grateful that he's in comfort now. He's in peace now. He's with the Lord now. However, when it comes to my nephew, I'm still processing that.
Right.
I was actually literally talking to my nephew this morning, my other nephew, my nephew who was murdered, his brother, his older brother, of saying, you know, I'm not as angry. I still have some anger behind that, but I'm not as angry as I used to be because I had some straight up anger. I could have blew up a whole lot of things, but I ain't gonna listen. But I'm working through. That's a process. You know, I got all like I'm into mental health big time. And you know what, Andy, you said you waiting for the purpose. You know what? Make it up in your mind that you're okay with God, even if the purpose never becomes clear. Because I don't think on this side of heaven, I'll feel like there was a significant good enough reason to take my nephew away from me the way he did. Like I can get sickness, I can get a whole lot of different things, but the way he was killed, like, yeah, I mean, time will heal everything, absolutely. But that, who's going to take a lot more time?
Right.
Definitely a lot more time.
And we don't always know what we've experienced, how we're used in that for other people.
Right. Absolutely.
And I know Andy quite well. I'm starting to get to know Andy a little more. And I know her purpose. She may not know it, but I see it. I see some of the hurt that people that I know, even myself, how God is using it to help others. And we may not ever see how it's helped or what we've said or what we've done has made such a difference in someone's life, and the things that we've experienced, how it gets used, how it gets used for us to be used. I don't know how, you know what I mean? Or whatever. And we may never know the reasons, right? Because like you said, God's ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. But I just do believe in purpose. I do believe in all the things. There's no coincidences. Everything
Absolutely.
happens for a reason. Everything, every bit of pain is used in
Mhm.
some way if we allow it to be. And
Mhm.
if we
Mhm.
are partnering with God to move in that purpose and allow that purpose to shift us in that pain towards good or whatever it is that will bring him glory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I first started thinking about coming back, one of the things that I was doing is blogging about the journey through grief, and just trying to talk about it initially. But what I am coming having a show coming up that is dedicated to that, so I'm excited for that, because I know for me it definitely is something that I want to be able to share with other. Actually, is next week, the journey
Oh
through
wow.
grief and trauma.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And it's a
because
never ending
that's a
journey.
real, yeah, it
Yeah, it's
is.
never
It
ending.
never, I mean, I lost my first son when he was only 5.5 months old. Some days I'm good, some days I'm not. Some
Yeah.
days his birthday come and I don't even realize it's the day. Other days I can, I'm having a rough go at it. Some days the anniversary of his passing can slip right by. Other days I feel like my heart is busting through my chest.
Absolutely.
There's an up and down process, and
Yeah.
no one's grief, mourning, or anything can be compared.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the grief of mourning is, whether it is um losing anything, any
It's any
person,
listen,
anything that you treasure that you no longer have, there's a grieving
there is
process
a
to it.
grieving process. And
Yeah.
we're grieving
Even relationships,
relation.
relationships.
And honestly, with COVID, there's been a lot of loss, not only just physical with health and
Mhm.
everything, but people have lost a lot. They've lost jobs, they've lost relationships, they've lost people, the way they were used to doing things.
Mhm.
I think about my mom. She's had a rough time, a rough year, just because she's just lost her ability to socialize, and it
Mhm.
really did. And an older person, it
That's a
really
strong impact.
it did, and it accelerated some dementia.
Mhm.
And then with that, she lost her independence because she couldn't do the things that she wanted to do. She's not driving anymore, all that stuff. There loss is in so many ways. That I learned about this term called ambiguous loss, and I know that's not the topic of this, but um and it's those things where the things that we can't always name as a loss or grief,
Mhm.
but we're struggling with it, we're challenged with it, we're dealing with it all throughout, and there's no time, there's no timeline. We're always looking for a timeline. There's people pushing a timeline on us
Mhm.
often.
Mhm.
It's like, aren't you over that yet? Well,
Hmm.
why don't you just move on? Like, that's been X amount of time, X amount of years. There's no timeline for how your journey with grief goes, and there are all these ambiguous losses, meaning these things that you don't really call or name as loss, but they
Mhm.
really are. Like, even like you said, a relationship where someone is not gone,
Mhm.
but they're no longer in
With you in
relation
your life.
in
Mhm.
your life, or in a way that you wanted
Used
them to
to.
be. It could be
Mhm.
like a mother father child relationship, where that father is no longer there for that, or that child is no longer speaking to you, or whatever. All those type of little losses that contribute to what we've experienced. But I just
Mhm.
there's no like you said, way to experience it that's the right way. There's no time to end it. But it is a process, and I think everybody, as they do draw closer to God, God uses it in a beautiful way, if allowed to. um,
Mhm.
and it hurts. I too
Absolutely.
have experienced, I lost a child as well. And, you know, I relate to everything you said about all those different days that you had.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, you know, but one thing for me, as we look, and I try to, even as a physician, try to help people in their loss, or even, you know, when they experience very tragic things, say, you know, there's a reason you're still here. There's a reason God saved you for this. There's a reason, you know, it's all about just finding out what that is. And you can only find that out by allowing God to be with you and speak to you and show you um, how you can be used in that.
Absolutely. Even in the shift, that
In the
when you're shift outside of what is normally the process, trust and believe God is going to use it, because even your grief, even your heartbreak, even the tragedy, whatever it is, there is going to be a use. Because even like for my son, you know, I know people who will call on me for persons who may lost their child, and how they can cope with
and
that,
be
and
able to
if
help.
they wanted to talk to someone like that can relate to the loss or the pain, or just to listen, you know, because that's the one thing that we need to be focused on. It's not about what you say, it's about how well you listen. When anyone is going through, just listen to them, allow them to express themselves without giving any direction or guidance, to see what they can come to, as opposed to what you think is right for them, because they really need to come to a determination what's right for them within themselves, and not your thoughts, because
Yeah.
your thoughts is not going to be really what's needed, you know.
Right. We don't know not,
Nobody really needs to hear from
you're not
you,
gonna know
you
what to
know?
say. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're gonna
And
say the wrong
nothing is
thing.
like I've said to some people, when, because I can understand the grieving process because of the grief I've experienced. And I'll be like, yeah, I don't think you should have said that.
Yeah,
Like, just listen.
yeah,
Just
just yeah,
listen. Just
yeah,
listen for whatever they're going through. It's so much greater to be a listening ear than to offer your input.
yes, yes. It is. Less is more sometimes.
Yeah, 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 definitely. So
Yeah.
we are very well over, but I
Oh,
allowed Grace on the show because of the technical
difficult.
difficulties of God. I mean, of the enemy trying to stop what God ordained. But however, we know He is Elohim. He shifted and made things happen.
Yeah,
Had nothing to do with it. Nothing.
right. He made it
So.
happen. He made a way.
So thank you, my precious dear
You're
sister, for
welcome.
being here. You are such a gorgeous and beautiful woman,
Oh, thank
inside
you.
and out. And I thank you so very much
Oh,
for all that you provided here. And I love it, love it. Oh, thank you. I didn't even do that. I put it up because of what you were saying about Doctor. Then I looked at the end. I'm a fan. Oh, thank you, Love Bug. I appreciate you.
I think you
But
have a few new fans from my camp that are gonna follow
oh,
you
bless
now.
God, bless God. Yeah, share the word, because I'm really, and it is, a lot of people always say, well, do you have questions? Oh, this ain't no talk show. This
Right.
is just
Oh,
friends
that
talking
was
about
me.
their own. Yeah,
I was like,
but you're not
what's
the
your
only one.
question?
Like, it's just friends conversating about what they know, what they go through, personal stories. You know, we might shout, we might cry, we might laugh, we might have a little technical issues, but
Yeah.
we're here. I'm
Hey.
here every Monday night at
Yeah.
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tell a friend, join us,
Yeah.
have fun. And I love dialogue, as you see. I always put up comments because I want it to be interactive, so that we can talk back to the people when I can have a live show. The show is always purposed to be live, but for some guests who can't be live, I will pre-record, honey, let me tell you. So, and if you want me to talk about something, let me know. I'm willing to talk about everything on Let's Just Talk with Kim. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
are about encouraging, inspiring, and lifting people up.
Yes.
Lift up savers.
Kim, Kim is awesome. Oh my God. This is fun. Thank you so
I'm
much
glad
for
you
having
enjoyed
me.
it.
I hope y'all out there watching enjoyed it. Yeah, whenever you need me back, I'm your girl.
Yeah, she was all nervous, but she did it
I
like a
was.
pro, right? She did it like a pro. Nervous? Who? What? When? When was you nervous, girl?
Yeah,
What
listen.
was you nervous? You got a fan club, loving the conversation, great episode. Like what?
Yeah, that's big coming from your niece who be on all the time. So I'll
I
take that.
know, I
I'll
know.
take
She
that. Thank
say,
you
I
so
mean, not downplaying it, but she loves every episode. She feels like it gets better and better. So
Yeah,
every episode, she's like, "Oh, Auntie, that was better than last week."
good.
So she loves it. She loves it. She here for it all. She's
That's
here
great.
for it all, and I love her. She wasn't first this time. Andy was first. Sharita, I don't know you. I'll blame it on technical issues because I was having some. So I'm sure you were. You know, we're in the same area, so there was some internet issues.
Oh,
But thank you, love bud. Tell the
you're
people
welcome.
how they can connect with you.
So yeah, I guess I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me on that. I'm on Twitter at Doc G Free, and Instagram Lady B410. uh, that there's a lot of different things about that, but anyway, you can find me. I'm also on Facebook. But yeah, anyway, reach out. You're always welcome to come fellowship at Dare to Imagine Church at 6610 Anderson Street in Philly. You'll find me there almost every Sunday. Um I'm also right now at Philadelphia Fight, but I'll be transitioning, but I will be always, I think, forever Drexel. So I'm at the Drexel University College of Medicine. You can find me there. But yeah, you if you know Kim knows how to get in touch with me too. You can get in touch with me that way. Uh, but yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you so much, Kim.
You're very welcome. So thank you again, everyone, for supporting my beautiful guests.
Thank
And you can
you.
always find me everywhere at Let's Just Talk with Kim. See you next week, y'all. Bye.
Bye.